Hello, how you doing? I'm Chef Ced Sizzle, and today I'm at Gwinnett Public Library for celebrating Black History. And I'm so excited. Not that my birthday is February the 26th, and it's Black History Month, but I'm just excited to be able to share something special with you. This is very, very important to me because the library, to me, is a foundation. I learned to read, I learned what I wanted to do in my life by one book changing my life. It's called Stone Soup. There's many variations out, but this is about an old tale about a soldier going into, well actually two soldiers going into a town when there was a famine. Also they was at war. One soldier came up with a clever idea. Instead of going in, raiding a village, he wanted everyone to bring everything out that they had because everyone was fighting amongst each other. So he thought of a clever way to bring all the people together. And today I'm going to present to you stone soup. First thing you do when making a soup is the foundation, is the bones. I'm using beef bones. Beef bones. Don't be afraid. The first thing you do, you need to have the bones dry. And the reason being is if there's any moisture on and you put the oil to roast them, it'll splatter up. So this is how they look when you first have them. And this is how they look after they've been roasted. See how they kind of charred up? But this is all good stuff because what you do is you put a little water, a little wine, and then you put it in the pot. It goes into the pot, just like this, just like that. And you get that pot going, okay? And the next thing you do, after the bones have been roasted, and then you can check out the recipes as step by step, don't be afraid. You leave everything here, and that is the basis, the foundation of your stock. The next thing you know, you need some aromatics into the stock, you know, like herbs, you know. I have a young lady that has an herb garden, and she has all these beautiful herbs, rosemary, and things like that. So what you do is just get you a little butcher's twine, something like this, and what you want to do, you want to kind of like tie the herbs up, just like this, so that they can all like stay apart, just like that. And use kitchen shears. You know, don't use a knife because a knife is dangerous. You know, this is a learning process, you know, and I don't want anyone to hurt themselves. Think safety. And then you clip the end, just like that. And then you throw it in. So you have your herbs going, okay? So then, just like in the story of stone soup, this is the stock that was already made, okay? So the soldier was like, you know, I have a magical stone. If anyone can bring me a pot out, I can make a soup. And it's magical with a stone. So the people was interested. Whoa. He said, go get me a pot, go get me a pot. That's what the blacksmith said to his grandson, you know, apprentice, pass it on, okay? He gets the pot. He said, okay, we cooking. Now we need some water. Not this water, but this is Ced Sizzle water. Yeah, okay. Get me some water. So they ran to the well. Little girl ran to the well, brought the water. We got the water rolling. Now, we can't do anything, we need some goodies. Someone bring me an onion. Oh yeah, he got the onion, okay? So, she brought him an onion, no problem, okay? So you see this right here? This goes into the stock pot. I don't throw anything away. Waste not, want not. This right here, we'll just take the onions and we'll use these for the actual soup itself. Okay? Cut this up. You know, people say they cut onions and they start to cry, you know? You know a good way to stop from crying? Take your onions and put them in the refrigerator. Cover. And it takes out the acid in the onions. And so then you don't cry. I don't cry anymore. I only cry for people that's not nice. So, said, okay, got some onion. Someone bring me a carrot. No problem. We got a carrot. So I'm gonna show you something interesting. Like I said, as a chef, I've been doing this for many years. If I don't save a company money, I don't have a job. So it's important to me to utilize everything. And I thank God for having a French background and working at some of the high-class restaurants in Atlanta. This is how I learned to do this, okay? So this is interesting. So you take the carrots, you peel them, okay? You peel them. So some go into the stock pot and some stays, because the ones that stay, I make an interesting garnish. It's oven-dried carrots and celery, sort of like dehydration, you know. And you know what? Who taught me this? My son, little Cedric. He saw it on the internet. He was like, Dad, I want some. I was like, well, you know, I don't have a dehydrator and I always bum out in the oven. So I realized I was doing something wrong. So as many years as I've been working as a chef, that's why I keep doing what I do, because I love learning. And when you stop learning, that's when you die. My son taught me something that I was doing wrong. I'm going to share it with you. I was putting oil on the vegetables going into the oven. When you put oil on it, they never would take the moisture out, because what you want in dehydration is scientific term. You want the moisture to evaporate. So what I do is I use them and, excuse me, I'm sorry. I use them as a garnish for later on when we do the final product, okay? So we're gonna go ahead, we'll take the ends of the carrots, okay, and put them in, all right? Another interesting thing about making the soup is they always say, try to cut the vegetables the size of the spoon. So if you have a small spoon, you cut them kind of small. But in my case, I have some pretty big spoons for soup, because I like a nice soup spoon. So I just cut them. Always keep your fingers in when you're cutting. Never have those, ladies, watch them nails too, you know? Keep your hands in. And you just want some nice little cubes. See, this is the fun part about, you know, cooking. So, like, whenever you have a little chance, just go ahead and, like, you know, cut. If you have some vegetables, prep. It's called process, you know. It's called processing. If you have a little time, just chop them up, put them in the refrigerator or the freezer next time you need them. That way it's not overwhelming. Cooking is just all about pretty much just organizing yourself, you know. That's it. You can't look at it, you know, as a big job. So we'll save these later for the soup, okay? So how about some celery, all right? So with the celery, this is all for the stock, okay? We'll just use the tops. Put them in. No problem. No problem at all. Then the same way with the celery, because I showed you these little pieces here is the celery. Okay? So it's the same process when you peel the celery. A lot of people don't even realize that you can actually peel celery. And you do the same process. I do the same thing, and they dehydrate. And then I use the others. I use the others for my actual presentation. And you notice I'm using paper towels. I love using paper towels because paper towels are a lot safer than just having a kitchen towel around. And the reason being is sometimes you can forget what you wipe up. You always think safety, always think clean. You know, I did a project one time at an airline, and they had no towels. They just used all paper towels spraying down. This is 10 years ago. So a lot of people was practicing safe. So we got the stock going here. It's looking nice, okay? So next, what we're gonna do, I have another little tip, because this is all learning, this is the library, with garlic, okay? You have all types of garlic. I like using fresh, okay? An easy tip on cooking garlic or cutting garlic, preparation of it, put it in water for about 5 to 6 hours. Leave it in water. This hasn't been in water, but it makes it easier to peel the skin. And you always take this little tip. That's the part that keeps the garlic together, the bulb. Always take this off, because this thing is very dangerous, because if it gets caught up in between your teeth, you know, it can cause problems. So as a chef and a cook, I always cook, not for me, but I cook for the diner. So one accident can make the whole experience. Oh, the food, sizzle food was great, but I got something stuck in my teeth. Now it's my fault. It is my fault, because it was my hands. So the garlic, what you need to do is just put it down like this. Take your knife like this, and just kind of smash it like that a little bit, okay? And then you just chop, 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 because this is a very, very important element of building a soup. And I want to try not to miss anything, and I don't want you to miss anything. I want to give you all the information. This is the most important part, the meat. Someone said, does anybody have some meat? We got the bones. They gave us the bones. Now we're looking for some meat, okay? So what I'm using today is, I'm using London Brawl, okay? London Brawl is nice, beautiful, okay? So what you're gonna do, you're gonna just cut it into some nice little chunks. Come in like this. We catching that? And here's another tip. What we're doing is browning it, okay? And so when you're browning meat, you don't have to put a lot of seasoning, because what happens is, especially garlic, it burns. We don't want to do that, you know. What we want to do is we want to brown it without it burning, and then also without it smoking up the place. So what we're going to do, we're going to let it cool down a little bit, and then we're just going to put a little salt on it. We're going to get it going. See? Got that sizzle. Then you put a lid on it. These ovens are great, so they don't smoke up the place, okay? So we got the meat browning, okay? Everything is looking good. Use a wooden spoon, because you don't want to look at that. Can you see that? See that spawn that's coming on like that? You got a shot of that? Come on in, guys. Come on in, guys. This is beautiful. I tell you what, I don't care what kind of mood you in. You stand in your house during quarantine, you start smelling that, you're gonna come out like Walking Dead. Come on over. The sizzle's cooking. So you see you got it browning now, okay? Then, just like the recipe, little oil, okay? Red pepper flakes, Just a touch. Just a touch. Just a touch. Okay? Little black pepper. Now we can put a little black pepper. And this black pepper right here is fresh. Like instead of the pepper mill, we're thinking safety. All the hands, da, 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 everybody touching you, the waiters and everything. You got the pepper mill? You got the pepper mill? Now, no. Coffee grinder. Coffee grinder. Coffee grinder. Everyone, coffee grinder. It worked. We're good to go. Okay? Let's put some heat back on here. So we got the black pepper. This is how I start all of my soups, all of my sauces. I was a saucier for like 4 years at the Stouffer Waverly back in the day. All I did was the sauces. That's why I love sauces. I start all of my sauces and soups like this. Olive oil, garlic, a little bit more garlic. I like garlic. Black pepper. Get it going. Then, little onion. Got that? Little onion. Little celery. Got that? Little carrot. The French term is called mirepoix. It's the basis of all the stocks. Carrot, celery, and onion. That's it. Can you smell that? So see, look, you got them beautiful colors. Woo. Red, white, and blue. You know what to do. So we're going to get that going, okay? I'm going to put the lid on my Dutch oven here and stay. Let's talk about potatoes. We didn't mention potatoes, but the potatoes are such a most important part, you know, because potatoes are filling, sort of like rice, okay? So there's all types of potatoes that they got now out here. These are some beautiful potatoes. They call them gourmet potatoes. You know, you have some red, some purple, you know, some Yukon Gold. They also have like fingerling potatoes. So it's important that some people say, oh, the potatoes, let them cook in the soup. No, it's important to cook everything separate because everyone, each ingredient, every food has its own gene. Just like us as people, we are all uniquely created by God. You'll never see another sizzle. Well, little sizzle, that's another story of itself. But always blanch your potatoes. Blanching is meaning like you have boiling water, little salt, and you throw the potatoes in. Like these little small potatoes like this, they take 10, 15 minutes. You take them out and let them cool. Don't put water on them, just let them cool. Put them in the refrigerator, uncover it, and then we use them. So we're gonna add the potatoes when the soup is just about there. That's when you drop the potatoes in because you want that crunch, all right? If you want some heat, there you go. Here goes your Jamaican man. You want a little spice? Tell you a funny story, my friend. Went to his house one time, African. I love African food. I love all food. So I'm eating. You got the carrot. One of these was wrapped around the carrot. His mom would always just drop one of these up in her mom's soup pot. And they got caught. I saw the devil that day. Changed my life. That's how I came to Christ. Okay, so let's move it right along and let's look at what we got going right here with the soup. And then we're gonna add this great stock to it and then we're gonna finish it. And then we're gonna start talking about Hercules. Okay, let's talk potatoes, I promise you. You know, when you mean back in? Come on back in before I go out too far. There's a term, it's called tourner, seven cuts. It's a little French term, okay? So with the red potatoes, because what I like to do, I like to do the garnish, you know. So what I do is I cut them in quarters. This is a tourner knife. See how it's like cut like that? And then what I do is I come down like this with it. You see? Leave a little skin on like that. So it look like little footballs. Ready for it again? Just come down like this. Boom. I'm older now. I used to be able to do them in like 10 minutes. Now I had to take my time, you know. Where's my reading glasses at anyway? You know, you got to do that like that. So that's it. So what I like to do, like even with the soup, even though I make the little cuts to go into the soup, you want something to show that you did a little work, you know? That way you don't have to be giving them that, I promise to do better next time. No, let's do it right the first time. So, see? What do you think I do with these? You think I told you? I don't throw anything away. Potato skins, little sour cream, little green onions. That's what I give my kids. Okay? And the same thing, the process, the blanching process, we do that. I just wanted to show you that cut. But then I have some that's already done. They're already blanched out. And then they're going to go in the pot. Because it's time. It's time. It's time to bring it up. It's time to bring the soup up to life. As you notice in your recipe, we use a tomato product. You can use vine ripe tomatoes. Make sure they peel. You know, make sure they peel. If you want to peel a tomato, what you do to peel a tomato, make sure it's kind of firm. You cut the slit like a little egg. Put it in boiling water, maybe like 10 seconds. And then you put it in ice water. It's called shocking. And then you can peel the skin out the tomato. Here, I did it for you. And now all I'm doing, just a little. Follow the recipe. I think I said half a cup. That's about a half a cup. Okay? So we get that going. Oh, it's looking good. It's looking good. Okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to put the lid on this. We're going to let it simmer. And then we're going to come back. We're going to bring it home. Like a movie. Beginning, middle, end. We're in the middle. Now we're going to bring it home. You ready to bring it home? So the potatoes that I cut, the tornade potatoes, I'm going to show you how you brown them out after you blanch them. Okay? You brown them out. Just like that. And to get that real nice flavor, I'm using butter. This is salted butter. And it's French butter. It's real butter. Okay? So you see how I'm putting it on? I'm not scraping it. I'm just letting it melt. Just let it melt. Just like that. See how it came out? Voila. Okay? Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. See how brown? See how quick it got? Just like that. Almost brown. Now you come in with a little salt. And then we're going to do a little herbs. A little sizzle essence. Little sizzle essence. Oh yeah. See that? Oh yeah. See the potatoes are already, they're already cooked halfway. So look at that. That's nice, nice brownness. Oh, is it smelling nice? Can you smell that? Oh, I can smell it through my mask. So then what you do, because we're setting up the plate. So it's kind of like, when I'm plating up, I like to show people a presentation, what's inside, before I even bring it up. So, I put the potatoes down. You give them a little, boop, little bling bling. Oh, soup is looking good. Soup is looking good. And now it's time to plate it up. So, we got all the ingredients in. You have your bowl set up, okay? You have your soup spoon. Remember I was telling you about my soup spoons? These are my soup spoons. I love them. It's nice. Sauce spoon. And everything is laid out, okay? So we got the soup. rolling here. Got my trusty ladle. Look at them flavors. Look at them flavors. Okay, now it's finishing time, okay? So, take a little butter. There you go. Little richness, okay? Remember I was telling you about my garnish here? Put it here. Look at that. We're not even done yet. I haven't even plated up yet. Look at the plate. I used to have competitions and I'd just be setting up. And they used to come by. Not to brag, but if your setup is not tight, the presentation has no chance. No chance. It's all about the foundation. If I didn't have stone soup for my foundation, I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be walking like the Walking Dead. But instead, I'm ready to bring everybody out the house. I'm gonna bring you out the house. Look at that. Oh, yeah, it's nice. Okay, now, see? Now it's time to put a little herbs inside. See? Little herbs inside. Chop a little herbs, you know? Just a little bit. Little chop. Same way with the herbs. Make sure they chopped up real good, you know? Everything got to be fine. See, it's very easy to make something like this. But to take something like this and bring it down, that's a job for the sizzle. That's me. That's me. So, there you go. Boom. Ready to go. Woo! Oh, it's smelling good. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So, we're in another place where some people cannot live without this. Hey Sizzle, you got some rice? I got some rice. Rice is nice. Rice is nice. You know, rice is the most difficult thing to cook as a chef. Some people may think that they can cook. They are rice specialists. But without showing you a demonstration, I'm going to explain to you how to cook rice. The first thing you need to do is wash your rice. Wash it until the starch comes out. The second thing you must do is make sure that your water is boiling with about a pinch of salt and a teeny bitty little oil. Keep it separated. The rice is nice and washed. You put it in 1 to 1 for 20 minutes with a lid on. Rice is perfect every time. A lot of people are like, oh, I never wash my rice. Well, I feel sorry for you because the starch cooks in it. So whenever you see the steam from the rice, if there's no starch, everything is cooking your rice. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna put a little rice at the bottom, like that, kind of like gumbo style. No problem, no problem. Okay, so then let's bring everything to you. See, I'm only 5'7", so I have to bring everything to me, you know. So, whoa. Maybe that's a different thought. It's live TV, so hey, come on. I'm a one-cut type of guy, you know. So then, look at this. Come up. I love these bowls, and the reason I love them, these are soup. These are soup. And then you go into the world, and you let the world know what you're talking about. And there you go. Stone soup to bring the community together. This is what it's all about. This is the stone that I hold on to. This reminds me of what life is about. I cherish it. I hold on to it. Gather with a grateful heart. Gather with a grateful heart. Gather with a grateful heart. That's the winner. If you want to be a winner, gather with a grateful heart. Not a hateration. Thank you very much. I'm here celebrating Black History Month, and I'm so excited here at Gwinnett Public Library. And also I'm excited because this is the very first time I am publicizing my book, The Chef Game, the do's and don'ts while cooking for international superstars. The book was released 1 year ago in every outlet, self-published. You can get it, The Chef Game by Ced Sizzle. And I'm going to read today to you some inspiration for the book, what drove me to write the book, and we'll go from there. The first thing I want to tell you is, if you someone out here that's like thinking about writing a book, have an idea, please just write it. Just don't worry about oh, I can't write, writer's block. Just write your thoughts. If you write 3 lines a day for 70 days, you will have at least 4 chapters completed. This is this took me a couple of years to write this, but basically it was like therapy to write this book. And me being a private chef and working for some of the biggest names in the business, with me signing confidentiality agreements, and it's just a lot of red tape involved that you have to walk like a thin line. And I'm all about the service, I'm all about protecting, I'm all about loyalty. As we look at what's going on in the world today, you have a lot of people of just like, it's very hurtful. It's kind of like someone that you've been knowing for so long that do something really bad to you, and you're looking at them like, wow, I can't believe, Keith, I've been knowing you, man, for 10 years, 15 years. I can't believe, man, you do that? It's just like, wow, it can put you back, like, if you don't watch it. So my thing is, a person can show you their butt or their heart in the first 5 minutes of you meeting them. I'm not talking about 5 days, 5 months. The first 5 minutes, someone is going to show you their heart. And it was a particular situation with me, and this is when I first started to write this book, where I had hit rock bottom. Okay. So basically, this book, and I read you in this Black History Month, and I'm gonna, move on with it. But the main reason that I did this book is it's Black History Month, and for the last 4 years, every Black history they talk about. Black history, the struggle, Harriet Tubman, a couple of other historical figures. But I'm going to tell you about the most powerful figure that I think is Hercules the chef. And I talk about Hercules the chef in my book as a form of a treatment. And when I first started researching Hercules, I thought this guy was great. I thought this guy was like the best thing since sliced bread. But after researching him, I found that I didn't like him very well because I didn't like myself. And everything that Hercules was going for, I was reaching for, and I felt like I was kind of like a part of the bloodline, of his bloodline, which later I found that if I was, it would probably be tainted. So Hercules was a slave in Charleston, South Carolina, and George Washington, he ended up working for George Washington as a George Washington slave, which George Washington had a gentleman on one of his properties, had lost his house, like myself, and when, in those times, if you lose your house, you lose your slaves. So George Washington inherited his slaves. So the slaves that he inherited was very unique. And when I say unique, was they all had a skill set of this family of slaves that was with the gentleman that George Washington took over the house. So Hercules was one of the slaves who had escaped, because it was on the ledger, one of the escapees at the plantation, plantation in Charleston, South Carolina. I think it's the, I talk about it in here, I think it's the Middleton, but it's in the book. So they escaped, he escaped, and he escaped to Mount Vernon. So he rose to fame because, just like myself, I'm classically trained as a chef. I never worked in any chain restaurants, which I have nothing against, but have always been a small, in a small arena, but with, you know, high-end cuisine, and just wanting to learn and knowing the basics. So just like with Hercules, he trained under European chefs, queens and kings, because you have to realize that was back in the day with George Washington, and people were like, wow, he was a powerful guy. So George Washington took a liking to Hercules because he would always take something and put his flair to it. You know, he's like, look at this guy. I mean, this guy was 36 years old, man. This is a picture of him that hangs in a museum in Spain, that you don't hear anyone talking about him. Why you don't hear anything talking about him? Why you don't hear anyone talking about him is because of how he was. You never see anybody talking about the sizzle. I've been here all alone. I'm not on MTV or out here on my own cooking show, and I don't want it. I want to be right here on your phone or on your laptop. That's it. I don't need to be on your billboard, anything. So Hercules ended up training and being George Washington's chef, and he rose to rank. So we'll fast forward after 4 years with George Washington, the abolitionists, the proclamation of freeing the slaves, you know. He wanted to be free, and he was kind of pushing George Washington to free him. And George Washington was so angry because Hercules was already free. He was making $10,000 a year as a slave because he was able to utilize all the food and the scraps and things like that. So George Washington thought he was kind of selfish, so he wanted to teach him a lesson. He put him back in slavery. So Hercules went back in slavery, and he had to face the music of all of his kind. So that's when I had a connection with Hercules, because in my career, when I lost everything, hit rock bottom, I had to go back with all of these guys that I work with and humble myself and be back on the plantation. Basically, it was back on the plantation. I had to take it, all the criticism and, oh, Ced Sizzle hit rock bottom, blah, blah, blah. Hercules did the same thing until he figured out how to get out. And how he got out is by studying the Word of God. That's how he learned to read. He had to go back to what he is used to doing, his foundation, and that's what gave him the opportunity to escape. And he escaped. And how he escaped through the belly of a cow, like taxidermy, because he can break down meats and vegetables, and he took a whole cow that he had to slaughter. He faked like George Washington was his birthday surprise, which it was all an escape, and many people was helping him. And he escaped to never be found. And they never wanted to tell the story because it was kind of like an embarrassment, you know. This is the general, this is George Washington. But after researching it, you know, he didn't have to escape. He didn't have to escape, you know, but he just wanted the light. He wanted to be famous. He wanted to, you know, drive his buggy. I mean, imagine a slave in 1755, you know, to 1787 with a buggy going downtown, looking down on people. He had that kind of power. And so I wanted to tell the story because it's a story that I want to produce, and it needs to be told for inspiration. And it's Hercules the Chef, A Taste of Freedom. There's several people who have books out, and I happen to know them, but they talk about only what's on reference. They talk about that, but no one wants to do a real, true biopic. So I talk about that. So moving along, and then I just like to just let you know some of the people that's in pop culture today that I had a chance to meet, and I never talk bad or negative about them because I just know how they treated me. And there's one particular one that I cooked for when I came up in 1996 in the Centennial Olympic Park, and I snuck in the park with a friend of mine that was like a video director shooting something for this new artist, and I snuck in, and when I got in, the security came back to kick me out, and I had everything set up and everything, and it was like, how did you get in here? Who gave you the permission? I was like, they was like, get out of here. So then this guy comes from the back. He had a pink shirt on. I'd never seen a guy with a pink shirt. I was like, wow, what's going on? He was like, what's the problem? He's like, oh, this guy called himself a chef. What do you got? The guy never looked at me. He was just talking. That's the rudest thing to do, right? To talk to someone when you're standing there like you never exist. He's asking him everything, and I'm there. I'm like, dude, I'm right here. He looked at the plate. Then he looked at me, made eye contact with me. And then he looked at the other guy, the big security guard. He's like, let him do his thing. And I was like, all day. It was Kanye West. And from that moment, when I see the struggles that Kanye went through and things like that, you know, I don't have anything to say about him, but I remember him not kicking me out from backstage when he could have just, so just like the Stone, hey, I don't care, he's human. You know, I'm not a Kanye fan. I would never buy any Yeezys, maybe some Ced's or Sizzles, but it's just not in my nature. So I think that's why these superstars or whatever you call it, they gravitate to me because people can feel your energy. If you like, too excited, or it's scary. These guys, you have to protect them. So in my book, I protected them, but I let myself be vulnerable. So all the superstars that I cook for and work with, and I mention them in the book, I encourage you to do it, because I don't like to name drop, but I just wanted to say Kanye because it's like current with him with the whole historical thing. I mean, the guy ran for president, like whatever, on the ticket or whatever, man, that's I don't care what anyone says, that's big. I wouldn't do it. I couldn't run for a public office, but Kanye has no boundaries, you know, and that's why I talk about him. And then I also I had a chance to cook for Prince. I talk about him in the book, and it wasn't anything planned. You have to read the book, and it tells the story. It's like the longest chapter. Usher Raymond, how I got fired from Usher Raymond. He was my big first superstar to cook for, and I learned so much from Usher, and also friends with his brother and his family to this day. And some people, they give you a shot. Everyone needs a shot. And then with my water facility, I talk about it in the book, which that's my main focus now, is the Ced Sizzle flavored water. Everybody know, they see it out, and it's basically high pH water, herbs, frozen, like ice water, very nutritional, I'm sorry. And how I got my jump off with the water was I got a call from the Ludacris Foundation with Miss Roberta Shields, the president and founder of Luda Foundation, and she gave me a shot of putting my water out. And it just, after that, it was like inspirational to me to keep working. And then I built my 3,000 square foot warehouse of like renovating it. And she came out, hour and a half drive to come and support me and bless my warehouse. And it was just a wonderful thing, you know. So I had to just celebrate, you know, with this book. So I encourage, it's my birthday, do it for a birthday present. Please, you know, like, help me out. I don't ask anybody for anything, but just read, support, you know, not an author, a black author, but an author. Read, because anything that you need to discover, you can find it in the book. So once again, I just want to let you know that Ced Sizzle, AKA government name Cedric T. Bradley, writer of The Chef Game, and thank you very much.